Hello and welcome to my RPG design analysis presentation. In this presentation, I'll be analyzing The Outer Worlds, focusing on the first game in the series. I will cover the core RPG mechanics, examine how they shape player behavior and experience, discuss technical implementation, and propose design improvements inspired by the game's systems. Introduction to The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds is a single-player RPG set in a corporately controlled space colony. Players explore semi-open worlds across different planets, complete quests, and interact with NPCs. Core mechanics include first-person combat with RPG elements, branching dialogue and choices, character progression through skills and perks, and inventory and resource management, all emphasizing player decision-making and strategy. Game mechanics. In The Outer Worlds, the core mechanics blend traditional RPG systems with FPS gameplay. Combat is first person, but you can strategically use weapons, companions, and status effects to gain an advantage. Dialogue and choices matter. What you say can change story outcomes, alter faction relationships, and influence quests. Character progression lets players customize skills and perks, while companions can also grow and support specific strategies. Exploration spans multiple planets, with semi-open areas filled with quests, hidden items, and points of interest. Finally, resource management plays a role. What weapons, consumables, and equipment you carry affects your approach to combat and exploration. Together, these systems provide players with tactical decision-making and freedom in how they approach challenges. Dynamics. Game dynamics are the patterns of behavior and strategies that emerge as players interact with the game's mechanics. In The Outer Worlds, players develop combat strategies by exploiting enemy weaknesses, managing companions, and prioritizing skill and perk choices. Dialogue and quest decisions create branching paths and multiple outcomes, shaping faction relationships and story progression. Exploration encourages players to investigate planets, uncover hidden loot, and complete optional side quests. Inventory and consumable management affects combat tactics and overall survival. By combining combat, exploration, and dialogue, players create unique gameplay experiences that vary with each playthrough. Altogether, these mechanics and player choices result in dynamic, adaptive play, where players continuously adjust strategies to meet different challenges. Aesthetics. Game aesthetics refer to the emotional experience players have while interacting with a game's mechanics. In The Outer World, the aesthetic is defined by the contrast between a brightly colored, polished corporate veneer and the harsh realities of corporate control. The environments are filled with cheerful signage, advertising, and upbeat music, creating a sense of optimism. Yet beneath this, the colonies are tightly managed by monopolistic corporations, with characters struggling under the weight of corporate policies, labor quotas, and debt-driven survival. This contrast produces a unique experience. The game feels lively and vibrant on the surface, but players quickly sense the underlying oppression and social tension. Exploration, dialogue, and player choices reinforce this feeling as you navigate both the cheerful presentation and the morally complex world beneath. Completing quests and advancing your character gives a sense of accomplishment, but the game constantly reminds you that every decision exists within the constraints of the corporate world and its social inequalities, and you, the player, are not exempt from the rules of this world. Technical insights. The Outer Worlds implements its systems to reinforce both strategy and player choice. Combat blends first-person shooting with RPG mechanics. Damage, status effects, and companion AI are all handled in real time to allow for tactical planning. Dialogue is implemented through branching trees that track choices and faction reputation, which influence quests and story outcomes. Character progression is flexible. Leveling, skill upgrades, perks, and companion development all affect combat performance and dialogue options. Character progression is flexible. Leveling, skill upgrades, perks, and companion development all affect combat performance and dialogue options. Enemy AI reacts dynamically to player actions and environment, while companions follow routines based on perks and tactics. Inventory and resource systems are tracked with weight limits, forcing decisions about what to carry. Finally, the semi-open planetary environments use event triggers and hidden objects to guide exploration, making the world feel alive while supporting both narrative and gameplay freedom. Improving the design. One way to enhance the Outer Worlds would be to introduce dynamic environmental consequences for player choices. Right now, most decisions primarily affect story outcomes and faction relationships. Expanding this so that players' actions visibly alter the world would make the game feel far more responsive and immersive. For example, completing a quest in a particular way could change a settlement's appearance, the availability of resources, or NPC behavior. Ignoring certain factions or sabotaging corporate operations could result in abandoned areas, shifts in local commerce, or change in how NPCs interact with the player. This would reinforce the sense that the world is alive and that every choice has a meaningful impact. Technically, this could be implemented using event flags or choice trackers tied to in-game triggers. These flags would adjust NPC routines, visual assets, and resource availability based on decisions made. Players would directly see the consequences of their actions, increasing engagement and replayability. Overall, this modification strengthens the core aesthetics of the game, a corporately controlled, reactive universe. It gives players more agency, it encourages explorations and experimentation, and it makes each playthrough feel unique, emphasizing that in this corporate universe, decisions do really matter. To summarize, The Outer Worlds is an excellent example of how mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics work together in an RPG. Its mechanics give players the tools for strategic and thoughtful play. These systems produce emergent dynamics where players' strategies, decisions, and exploration combine to create adaptive and unique experiences. The game's aesthetics reinforce this. The colorful, cheerful corporate environments contrast with the oppressive corporate control underneath, creating tension, immersion, and narrative engagement. Technically, dialogue trees, AI behavior, progression systems, and event triggers support both gameplay and story. Overall, The Outer Worlds rewards careful decision-making, exploration, and experimentation, creating a complex and engaging RPG experience. Thank you for listening.